Moving over to the bantamweight division now, we got Christian Quinonez coming in at minus 650, going up against Chris Moutinho, who comes in at plus 475. Now, Quinonez is riding a 2-fight losing streak, but it's been over 2 years since we've seen him in action. He's obviously still only 29 years old, so still plenty of time to really grow into this UFC roster spot, but he's really been struggling to get success. I believe he only has one win in the UFC, which was that upset knockout victory that he held over Khalid Taha, but he was unable to build upon that as he suffered 2 straight submission losses. One at the hand of Kyung Ho Kong, who he had some solid success against, but eventually got clubbed and subbed. And then he was performing pretty well against Raoni Barcelos in February of 2024, where one judge actually scored both of the first 2 rounds for Quinonez. Then eventually he fell short to that pace and pressure and grappling game of Barcelos and eventually got submitted that night. I think Quinonez has kind of underachieved in the UFC. He's very experienced, has good skills from all aspects of the game. He has solid striking, good grappling. I'd say he's a better striker than he is grappler. And he has some decent knockout power as well. 4 of his 5 losses have come in round 2 or 3. So that's definitely something that you have to be worried about whenever he's fighting somebody with a better gas tank than him, or somebody that could provide a high pace and high pressure style that he may not be comfortable with, just as we saw in the Raoni Barcelos fight. Now he's going up against Chris Moutinho, who has really been dealt a shit hand, with the UFC. From his initial UFC debut against Sean O'Malley, where he got beat on for, 2.5 rounds and eventually finished at the ending of the 3rd round. He eventually took 8 months off, came back and got styled on and knocked out by Guido Canetti. Then he got cut. Then he went on a 5-fight winning streak on the regional scene, finishing all 5 opponents and even including a win over Johnny Campbell, who was the last fighter to beat him before coming to the UFC. Moutinho was then given a short notice return to the promotion, eventually coming up short to Malcolm Wellmaker, who knocked him out 2.5 minutes into that fight. Now he's getting a full training camp against a fighter that's probably not as dangerous as Wellmaker, but still more experienced than Wellmaker in the form of Christian Quinonez. Moutinho at his best is a high-pressure, high-volume striker with mediocre durability. I know whenever we talk about Moutinho, people like to bring up his heart and his durability, but the fact of the matter is he's been knocked out in all 7 of his losses, or finished at least in all 7 of his losses. So how good is his durability or grittiness when you take that into consideration? At his best, he can move forward, land combinations. He has some stinging power at times, but I think his lack of athleticism will cause him a lot of trouble against guys that are stronger, faster, and more powerful than him. And unfortunately for him, I think he's facing exactly that this weekend in Christian Quinonez. Now, am I so confident in Quinonez to play him at minus 650? Probably not. This fight taking place at altitude. Obviously, Quinonez has some experience training at this altitude. Moutinho obviously fights with that style where he can move forward and fight with a high pressure, high pace, and that could potentially cause Quinonez issues, especially if Quinonez is forced into deeper water. So I'm still not picking Moutinho. Don't get me wrong. I think he's a fringe UFC guy. I think Quinonez is the more skilled fighter here. But if he can't get that finish or at least hold on long enough to see the final bell, Moutinho could have some success and pull out the cardio issues that we've seen from Quinonez in the past. So official prediction will be Quinonez by decision, but maybe a flyer on Moutinho round 2 or round 3 could pay out and be fruitful. Who knows? But I'm going to go Quinonez here. I just don't think he's worth the chalk.